Now,
Well done.
we are live.
Well done.
I was about 6 seconds late, actually.
It's pretty close, within the margin of error.
All right. Well, that doesn't look very good. That Discord you're sharing. All right, let's see if I can do roll call. I know for sure we've got Kevin, Rose, and Rick in the house. Is anybody else here? Average wine enthusiast? No, he's not here. Dorothy's here. That's right. And wow, is that the whole for the packing process? Is that the whole crowd?
I think it's
just us
the
kids?
3 of them.
Is Sandy still on her trip? Oh, she's gonna miss a lot of shows. There was a Titan bot in, but I don't see the Titan bot in here anymore. Oh, she's not back, man. We're gonna lose like a month together.
Oh.
All right. Let me do a little test recording here. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan. That's too loud. What are you laughing at?
Kevin's comment.
What are you laughing at, Steve? First aid supplies. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeed.com. All right, tell me if you hear playback. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeed.com.
I do, although that doesn't count.
Did you hear playback? Yeah, Rick, did you hear playback of that? Also need some oxygen.
No.
Oh, we did not. Okay. So let me think. So playback. Okay. Did not hear playback. There's a bunch of playback today, so we want to make sure we get that right. Ah, there it is again. It's because I need to do that. And now we will hear playback this time. Here we go. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeed.com.
You heard that one, Kevin?
Sounds like Kevin heard it.
Much and very loud. Okay.
Much better and very loud. Really? I don't know how to control how loud that is. I think Steve's controlling that volume.
Well, it's all, I can't control.
You control that volume, Steve?
Well, let's see. That is coming.
How come? You can control me independently of you.
Hold on.
But if you put your mind to it, you can do it.
Yeah, I can't control your playback audio separately from your mic audio. They come together.
Oh yeah. You know, that might be me.
Yeah.
Yeah. He might be right. He might not be able to change that. Let's see, YouTube Live. Let's see. This is interesting. Okay, I'm going to play it one more time at the same volume for just a second. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast. Okay, and I'm going to do what I think should cut it about in half. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeed.com. Was that significantly lower in volume?
Mm-hmm.
So you guys like that? Okay. So Frank, I can control that. That is interesting. I will show you what did that. It's kind of interesting. Hi, Frank. Where you been? Okay.
Steve's volume is a tad louder than Steve.
This is loopback.
Not sure what you mean by that, Frank. Am I louder than myself? All right.
So I was just about to explain. You see the Hindenburg thing. That's loopback. So I take my microphone, sweeten it. It turns into Al's mic, and then Hindenburg separately. Those two get shoved together into YTL input, and that's the input I use to the YouTube Live event. Okay, we don't know what Frank's talking about. We're going to let it go, though, right?
I think so. I think
because I'm going to start.
He's sleeping now.
All right. Muting Steve. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeet.com, a technology geek podcast with an ever so slight Apple bias. Today is Sunday, June 23rd, 2019, and this is show number 737. No, not 737 Max, just plain old 737. Steve and I are gearing up for our trip to Chile, or I should say Chile, on Tuesday to see another total eclipse. My theory is that when you go to your third one, you are officially eclipse chasers. We saw one on the MacMania cruise between Australia and New Caledonia, and then we went to Oregon last year, or a couple of years ago. Was it 2 years ago? Anyway, to see one with Gene McDonald. This time we're traveling with a group from UCLA who bring their very own personal astrophysicist. Get this, his name is Jean-Luc. Won't forget that name anytime soon. Well, other than seeing an eclipse, we're also going to have some super nerdy fun going to see telescopes. For example, we're going to be going to see ALMA, the Atacama Large Millimeter Submillimeter Array. You may have heard of ALMA, as it was one of the 6 sets of telescopes that was used to photograph the black hole. That picture, you remember, came out back in April. We'll also be going to the Paranal Observatory. I really want to call it paranormal, but Paranal Observatory, which is home of the Very Large Telescope. That's not a description, that's its actual name. They even abbreviate it with the acronym VLT. In any case, it's bound to be a fun, nerdy trip. Plus, Chilean Malbec wine, am I right? We will be leaving you in the capable hands of Bart Bouchatz, who will be hosting the show this coming week, and Alistair Jenks from New Zealand will be hosting the following week. It's a great treat for me to get to hear their shows, and I'm forever indebted to them for doing this. One thing to keep in mind, there will be no live show while we're gone. We will return to your regularly scheduled live show on Sunday, July 14th. Please pass the word. All right. I just saw, and it's the actual name. It is the, oh, okay, I did abbreviate that correctly. Never mind, I was going to correct myself. I seem to have trouble with its and its. I know the difference. I just write it wrong all the time.
Well, as long as you're
all right,
consistent.
this may be too many. Yeah. Chat with Devin. Let me grab a chapter marker here. There you go. Oh, I should reverse that. Chit chat with Devin. All right, here we go. There's some exciting news. Here we go. Meeting Steve. I love that Chit Chat Across the Pond this week was called a light episode because in our world, this is light compared to programming by stealth, but it probably wasn't what normal people would think of as light. I interviewed Dr. Devin Polashik of the University of Waikato about her work rehabilitating violent criminal psychopaths. Now, I'm sure a bunch of you scoffed at the very concept, but that's what makes Devin's work so fascinating. Through the techniques developed in New Zealand, they have actually reduced the rate of recidivism, which is the reincarceration rate. She has a delightful sense of humor and a fabulous voice and accent as she tells us about working with such terrifying people. Remember, it's a light episode. You can find this episode in your podcatcher of choice under Chit Chat Across the Pond or Chit Chat Across the Pond Light. And of course, you can find it over at podfeet.com. It's episode number 599, Dr. Devin Polashik on psychopaths. Well, while we're gone, Chit Chat Across the Pond will still continue because I pre recorded 2 more episodes. The second week, we will have the very first Programming by Stealth supplemental episode. It's not with Bart, but instead, I interview the awesome Dorothy Rendon about her work to bring all students of the Programming by Stealth show what she calls the PBS Index. First, we nerd out. Okay, too many stumbles. It's Dorothy. Oh, Steve, check and see if Bart has published Let's Talk Photography yet, because he told me he was editing it right now.
Let me check.
So I should put that in, but I don't have anything to talk about it from.
Yeah, we should wait until he actually posts it.
Insert. I'm going to talk about it here because otherwise I won't get to talk about it.
Okay.
I mean, he could next week. Should we do that? I mean, I could tell him to talk about it in the show. He would like doing that probably.
Yeah. That's perfect. Why don't we just let him do that?
Yeah. Tell Bart.
You could give the live audience just a preview of what it's about. Or I guess I could.
I will. Let me try to finish this because I boogered it up.
Okay.
Actually, well, while we're gone, okay, I'm going to restart that section because I want to do that quickly. Send emails to Bart and Alice to remind him about chapter markers. Oh, that's a good point. I wonder whether they're going to do that. Oh, we'll see. All right. While we're gone, Chit Chat Across the Pond will still continue because I pre-recorded 2 more episodes. The second week will have the very first Programming by Stealth supplemental episode. It's not with Bart, but instead I interview the awesome Dorothy Rendon about her work to bring all students the Programming by Stealth index. First, we nerd out on how she created the original index using Excel, CSV files, a Perl script, and HTML. Then she goes on to explain how, after she learned a lot more in Programming by Stealth, she was able to vastly simplify things by putting the data into a JSON file and creating the web page using Bootstrap and mustaches. It is super nerdy fun, and Bart will post that one while I'm gone in both the PBS and full Chit Chat Across the Pond feeds. Then, for the last week, I have another treat for you. The self proclaimed crusher of dreams, Dr. Marianne Gary, also of the University of Waikato in New Zealand, comes back to the show, this time to explain to us how science is broken. It's a fascinating look at what's been happening to scientific journals and how the changes are affecting the science that gets funded. So, pretty much more dream crushing. That's what I would call it. Anyway, there's a lot to look forward to in Chit Chat Across the Pond coming up while we're gone. Okay, 2 major typos. It's a fascinating scientific how the changes affects the science so much. So pretty much, where was it? Dr. Mariger, also the person comes back. New Zealand is misspelled. That's what it was. I have a freaking text expander snippet for New Zealand. The steps expander says it. Yeah, there it is. And crushing does not have 2 I's in it. Okay.
Maybe with that Kiwi accent, it is
All
crushing.
right. All right. Chapter mark. And this is MAMP WordPress on. Let's go. Yeah. That's good enough. Okay. All right. Here we go. Muting Steve. A few months ago, I created a video tutorial for Screencasts Online on my favorite blogging software, MarsEdit. To illustrate MarsEdit, I needed a place to post fake blog posts and pages publishing from MarsEdit to WordPress. I didn't want to clutter up podfeed.com with all this fake data, so instead I decided to install WordPress on my Mac. But to install WordPress on your jeez, come on, this isn't that hard. But to install WordPress, you need a web server, a database, and a programming language. Turns out that's easy enough. You just install MAMP, which gives you Apache as a web server, MySQL as a database, and PHP as a programming language. It worked great for the tutorial. But people wrote in to Don after watching the MarsEdit tutorial asking me exactly how do you actually install MAMP and how do you install WordPress into MAMP. So this month, my video tutorial for Screencast Online is all about how to do just that. It's perhaps a more specialized tutorial than I normally do, but I think it's pretty nifty that we can do this. And it's actually not that hard, but I think it helps to be able to see it in a video tutorial. If installing a web server and WordPress onto your Mac is of interest to you, go check it out at screencastonline.com. And of course, there's a direct link in the show notes and in the chapter marks in this podcast. There's a free 7-day trial available where you can get all of the back catalog along with my amazing tutorial. If you can be patient and wait until the next Screencast Online monthly magazine comes out, you can buy single issues or a subscription. And in that, you get a whole bunch of video tutorials along with written articles by tech luminaries, even me.
Even you?
Almost even me. Well, I don't write original posts for it anymore, I'm afraid. I cheat.
Ah.
I I let Don just scrape my website. They go through and they find articles and they put them in. All right.
So Frank's telling us the sync is off again in the. Let me check it.
Oh no, not as bad as last time. Is it?
Let me check.
How bad? Let me see. Talk to me, Steve.
This is Steve.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's off. I don't know how to avoid that. It must be the stream we're sending out because, or well, it could be that YouTube is desynchronizing them. Not clear.
And it's catastrophic to stop and start. Can we get back into the same feed? Could it be bandwidth problems?
I don't think so. I'm not seeing any stuttering. The stream health shows live. The bandwidth coming out seems good. Upload speed about 3
Can you
megabits
clap
per second.
With your hands up like
ready? 3, 2, 1.
Oh yeah. So in Mimo Remote, I see it immediately, but it is 2 or 3 seconds behind.
And what are you looking at?
Oh, Average Wine Enthusiast is here.
That's Mike, I believe. Mike LaPlante.
You're actually in the show. That's exciting. It is.
Hey,
Hi, Mike.
Welcome.
Well, I'm going to keep recording. If you want to stop and start the feed or anything.
Yeah, let's see.
I'm going to go ahead and record, so I'm muting you. Hey, wait a minute. I muted you and I still hear you. Oh, no, it's because of the delay. Okay. Here we go. One final plug here. I got to be on the Daily Tech News Show this week with Tom Merritt and Sarah Lane and Roger Chang just on Friday. In episode 3558, named by popular vote in the live audience, The First Wrong is Always Right, we covered several medium topics instead of one main topic. We talked about how AT&T is now the fastest mobile network in America with their fake 5G service. They call it 5G evolution, which is not 5G at all, but it turns out it's the fastest. We discussed a recent study of people's perceptions of the names car companies give their self-driving capabilities. You know, like how Tesla calls it autopilot. What does that actually mean to people without knowing that name was from Tesla? For example, can you take your hands off the wheel? That's one of the things they asked people, and it was really interesting. We learned about how the gentleman who led the team to create USB knew all along that this non-reversible connector would make us batty, but it would be far too expensive to make it reversible. I had a lot of fun with the DTNS gang as always. You can find the Daily Tech News Show in your podcatcher of choice, or you can go watch the video at a link in the show notes to the dailytechnewsshow.com. Actually, it's dailytechnewsshow.com. That was smooth. All right, take that out. Yeah, what are we drinking tonight, Mike?
Well, it's got to be wine, if it's Mike, because he's not just your average wine enthusiast. He had a recommendation for Melbeck.
So there is no blog post.
I don't know if you saw that, Al.
Daily Tech News. Oh, he did?
Carmenere?
No.
Carmenere? Carmenere. I don't know how to pronounce that. Some Chilean wine. Chilean Malbec.
We're going to Santa Rita Winery. Sorry, I'm stepping on you, Steve.
Yeah, it's fine.
All right.
So you're only hearing a delayed version of it.
It's going to be a long show, by the way. Okay. Yes. Maybe I should listen to you in Discord instead.
Yeah, that might be better. It would be better.
Okay, I'm going to switch it. All right. Come on.
So, since we started synced up, it makes me believe that it's getting worse over time. Having some
Maybe.
Cab Franc tonight from British Columbia, which we will be visiting later this year. Maybe we should try that there.
Okay, it's really weird to hear your voice out of both with one of them 3 seconds later.
Well, you can mute me and can you mute me and Mimo? Or is that a problem?
Yes, I just did. But
Okay.
but while I was flipping over. So where are you listening to me? You better listen to me in Discord too.
No, this works fine, Mimo, because I get you real time.
Oh,
I'm
you
not
do?
getting any delays. It's so I don't see the
Oh.
delay. It's apparently
Oh, only all
it's
of
either
us.
right.
Well, you and I can communicate now, which is important.
Right.
For a second, I thought that said you were having crab franc. Ew.
It's great wine for seafood. Crab franc.
Okay, it's 5:20 and I have a ton to record. I'm muting you. Oh, no, I can't mute you, Steve. No, because you're talking in Discord. I'm listening to you in Discord. Okay, you just have to be quiet, okay? Muting you on Mimo doesn't do anything. Okay, quiet time for Steve. Here we go. 2 weeks ago, I promised an audio interview with Chris Chapman of Mac Stadium, but then I didn't play it in the show because I ran out of time. And then I didn't play it last week either because I wanted to save it for this week. I'm going to play it for you now. I want to set up why I wanted to talk to him first. One of my favorite NosillaCastaways castaways is Caleb Fong, also known as Geeko Supremo. He's been super active in our Slack group at podfeed.com/Slack. In particular, he seems to find the most interesting programming tools. A while ago, he brought up the concept of a Docker container. I asked him to explain to me what it was, and in a few text messages back and forth, I still couldn't figure out what they were. I saw in the Mac Stadium brochures at the AltConf that they had something to do with Docker containers. So I waited for a time that his booth wasn't mobbed, and I asked Chris if he would explain them to me. I won't even start to try to explain them myself because it took Chris about a half hour to help me understand them just a little bit. After we got done with that conversation, I thought it would be fun to hear about Mac Stadium itself. I refer in this to a video playing in the background, and Mac Stadium's Senior Director of Product Marketing, Heather Robertson, was nice enough to give me a copy of the video so you could see it yourself. I've embedded it in the show notes so you can all see these rack mounted Macs for yourself. It's glorious. Anyway, with all that, let's have a listen to Chris. All right. And I don't know that I'm going to have time to let you listen in because I have a lot to record here.
So you're not doing any playback?
I'm going to play it back to make sure you can hear it. For that, let's have a listen to Chris. I'm with Chris Chapman from Mac Stadium, and I've just made. That's a little bit too long.
Yeah, a little long.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, I don't know how much you play. And I guess the question is, should I? I don't think I can. Let's see if I can. Nope. I can't feather it in either. Anyway, with all that, let's have a listen to Chris. I'm with Chris Chapman from Mac Stadium, and I've just made him spend about maybe 25 minutes explaining some stuff to me. Okay.
Much better.
Check us out.
All right. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
So when you go to record, I'm muting myself on Discord so you don't get bothered by that.
Oh, how do you do that?
You can mute yourself in Discord by just hitting the little microphone button.
Oh.
Next to your avatar.
Oh, I guess I can't ever do that.
Well, no, you shouldn't be doing that.
Okay. All right. I'm going to put a chapter mark right here. And put this in here. We're doing a lot of chapter marks.
So the thing you just posted, did that have to do with the Zoom IQ?
The thing I just posted. Can you
the audio? Oh, that was just audio. There was no post for that. Is that
correct?
Right? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So I'm ready for this Zoom IQ. I thought I played that last week, but apparently I did not.
Do you want me to go check, or are you sure?
How about if you check while I start recording? I'm pretty sure I did not.
Okay.
This is Marianne's thing. All right, very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, you heard recently, I was just talking about Dr. Marianne Gary and how she's been on ChitChat Across the Pond quite a few times and has been recently. Well, she's a professor of false memories who likes to call herself the crusher of dreams, as I explained. She told me she would like to be able to do interviews while at conferences and asked if I could give her a recommendation for a portable method to do recordings. Now, you would think that after 14 years of podcasting, I would immediately know the answer to that question, but it's a harder question than it sounds, and it's actually not in my wheelhouse. I can interview anyone in the world with absolute ease, but I rarely record people in person on my own. In fact, Marianne is one of the very few people I interview where we're in the same room. Now, many of you are saying, but Allison, you and Steve do those great interviews from CES and CSUN. Well, it turns out those interviews are recorded via Steve's video camera using an Audio Technica System 10 ATW 1702 portable camera mount wireless microphone system. It's the short name. Anyway, this is a really cool setup. I hold a wireless mic that has a digital transmitter in it, which transmits to a receiver that's mounted to the top of Steve's camcorder. The receiver is then hardwired to audio input on the camcorder. Steve produces the videos and then he extracts the audio from the video that we use in the podcast. This works great, but obviously that's not the kind of system Marianne would be looking for. I've used a little Zoom H2 handheld recorder for years, but the batteries corroded in it, so it was finally time to put her down. For my birthday, I asked Steve for the big girl Zoom H4n Pro. There's a review of that coming later in this episode, but I don't want to get too far ahead of myself here. Both the H2 and the H4 are great devices, but they're really complicated, as you will hear. For example, well, let's see. Let me skip that. I'm going to skip that. Made sense in that. But you're going to hear this.
By the way, you did not.
Let's just go right there.
Not
Okay.
muted there.
Since Marianne, like many of us, uses an iPhone, I thought maybe a microphone that attached directly to her lightning port would be the way to go. When we interviewed Joe Duganzik in his tiny house for Chit Chat Across the Pond last year, he let me borrow his $140 Shure MV88. It was really cool and it worked well, but it requires you to move the phone back and forth with the interviewee to get audio. I didn't think to get good audio, I should say. I didn't think Marianne would want to do that for her first interviews. After a bit of poking around, I settled on recommending another Zoom product, the Zoom IQ7. It's around $110 on Amazon. The Zoom IQ7 is very small and very light. It's like around 2.5 or 2 inches square and about an inch thick. So it's very easy to pack along just in case a recording opportunity breaks out. The Zoom IQ7 is designed to allow you to do either audio only recording or to record video with audio. In order to accommodate both uses, the mics are in a rotating capsule, which allows you to change the orientation for the best stereo recording. The ability to adapt for video adds complexity, but it would give her more flexibility to record in the future to do video. Another option would have been to get her the Zoom IQ6, which is a very similar device, but with fixed microphones for just audio recording. I actually didn't know about the Zoom IQ when I made my recommendation, and that might have been a little bit easier for her. But let's get back to the Zoom IQ7. It has a couple of features that are really well done for such a tiny accessory. It has a tiny analog gain dial, not tiny, it's got an analog gain dial marked from 1 to 10. So, real time, you can make adjustments while recording. It also features a 3 LED peak meter. That's not a lot of granularity with 3 LEDs, but you might at least notice the red one if you're too hot. It also has a headphone jack that allows you to do real time monitoring of your audio input. Being able to monitor audio is crucial to ensuring that you're getting a good recording. There's also a 3-way switch that says 90, 120, and MS. The 90 and 120 are very easy to explain. They describe the angle of the cone in which the microphone will pick up the audio. It rolls off outside of that angle. In our experiments, 120 degrees allows you to put the iPhone standing on its head and have people around a table be picked up well by the mic. I got to tell you, M-S continues to baffle me. I read and reread the section in the manual, and I was no brighter about it for that after I was done reading. Anyway, the Zoom has an iOS app called Zoom Handy Recorder that is not highly reviewed in the App Store, but it does get the job done. The interface looks positively iOS 6 era, but ancient design seems to be the hallmark of Zoom devices. The Zoom Handy Recorder app doesn't require a Zoom device, so you can play along with your iPhone's internal mic with this tool if you like. With the Zoom IQ7, you'll be queried to give permission to use your microphone, as you would expect. We only had 3 LEDs to watch the levels on the device itself, but in Handy Recorder, you get a nice long meter for left and right channels, and it shows from green to yellow to red to help you keep your levels in line. Remember, you've got that handy gain dial you can work on the device and watch your gain on the phone. You can choose the format of your recorded file from an uncompressed WAV file to 3 qualities of AAC from 64 to 170 kilobits per second. There's also a software mic gain control, so you can set the default point from which to start the recording level. There are a few rudimentary effects you can apply before recording, such as an equalizer. It's not clear to me whether these effects are applied as you're recording or after the recording is made, which wouldn't be as effective. Now let's talk about the quality of the audio to see if you actually need a Zoom IQ7. The first test I did was to record myself with the internal mics on the iPhone XS and then with the IQ7. Let's listen to those two recordings. Oh boy, I wonder where those are. Oh, they're right here. Look at this. Okay, so this is going to be Zoom Me Alone internal. Okay, cut that. Two recordings. This is a wave recording using the Zoom Handy Recorder application on the iPhone XS using the internal microphone. So you're listening to internal, not any external microphone. I shouldn't have done that when I first woke up. Can you tell my voice is all like this? It's kind of funny. Oh, no. Why do I have to do chapter markers right now? Kevin. Okay, that's funny right there. May have been a little too external microphone. This is a stereo recording made with the Zoom IQ7 external microphone plugged into an iPhone XS. I'm recording with the Zoom Handy application. Okay. This is going to be a lot of this, so get ready for this. Handy application. So the Zoom IQ7 recording is better, but I'm not sure it was significantly better. I know how to hold a mic, and I'm willing and able to hold a real mic or an iPhone right up to someone's mouth to get good audio. So the internal mic on the iPhone would work for me. If you are equally skilled and bold, then I'm not sure you would need an IQ7. But that was not the scenario Marianne was imagining. She wanted to be able to stand the iPhone in the middle of a table and just talk naturally with someone across the table. We did a ton of experiments trying to figure out how to orient the little capsules to get this scenario to create a good recording. Even with constant rereading of the manual, it took me a long time to figure out exactly what they meant and how they meant for the capsules to be set. I took a photo of the configuration that worked best for us. The iPhone was upside down, so the mic is mounted on the top via the lightning connector. The mic with switch was set to 120 degrees to get all around audio. The capsule with L/R, left right, is pointed towards the front of the phone, and the arrow on the mic is pointing up. Now, this allows you to see the front of the screen on the iPhone and use the gain dial to raise or lower the gain as appropriate for you and your interviewee. The unfortunate thing about the iPhone is that the API doesn't allow apps to be right side up when the phone has the lightning port facing up. That means with any mic attached, you'll have to see the recording app upside down. Before we go any further, I have to say that the initial recordings with this configuration of the Zoom IQ7 were horrible. There was a buzz on it that made the recordings completely unusable. There's a very quick snippet of the buzz for you to enjoy. Okay, it's on. Okay, pop that in here. You're gonna love this. To enjoy. I don't know if you could hear that very well. Let me pop that up as high as I can go. Enjoy. Did you hear it? Buzz for you to enjoy. Okay, that's gonna be it. I'm not sure you could hear that really well, but it's really, really annoying on top of the recording. At that point, we dug through the trash to pull out the box so Marianne could send this darn thing back. But before going through with that, Marianne found a verified buyer on Amazon who had written a very in-depth review. In the review, the person explained that if you hear noise on the recording, that means it's picking up interference from the circuitry of the radios from the iPhone itself. They recommended putting the phone in airplane mode, but for some reason that did not turn off all the radios for me. I ended up turning off Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, and cellular by hand, and it eliminated the noise. That should have been in the darn instruction manual. Now I'll finally let you hear a clip of Marianne and me making nonsense conversation to test the Zoom IQ7 against the internal mics of the iPhone. We did the recordings in the kitchen, so we're surrounded by tile, granite, and windows, which is basically an environment designed for maximum ambient room echo. Before you listen to the recordings, I apologize in advance for using I as the object of a preposition in the second recording. You'll first hear the internal iPhone mic and then the Zoom IQ7 mic. Actually, that's wrong in the show notes too. Okay, so this is going to be Mary and me internal mic. 7 mic. Now we're using the iPhone 10s internal microphones. It's closer to Marianne than to me, but still kind of, I don't know, what, 2 or 3 feet between each of us. Talk to us, Marianne.
Okay, so the advantage that this has over the thing with the mic on it is that it's free.
And simple.
It's free insofar as once you pay $175,000 for the iPhone, then you don't have to buy anything else.
Wait a minute. I didn't hear the error.
The what?
The subject of the preposition or whatever. I versus me. I didn't hear the
It's
error.
in the second recording, I think.
Oh.
Let's see. In the second recording. Okay, so now I'm going to get airplane mode, this one. No. Come on. Why are you not selecting? What the heck is wrong with this? Come on.
Is it because your cursor's not starting on the
I
right
don't know.
track? It's on the other
It
track
might-
when you...
No, it's me being simple. Okay.
Then you don't have to buy anything else.
All right, this is our 231st test. This is the Zoom IQ7 set to a gain of 8. It's sitting about halfway between Marianne and I, maybe 2 or 3 feet between each of us in the mic. And I have now put it in airplane mode and turned off Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. How you doing today, Marianne?
Well, after 231 is the charm. Is that right?
That's what we're hoping. We want to see whether we get no buzz on this now.
So you had to turn off, so airplane mode alone doesn't cut it?
No, because airplane mode, well,
You
it
still
seemed
have
to
an
still have
antenna
Wi-Fi
active?
and Bluetooth going,
Okay.
which is weird. I thought that would have it off,
That
but
is weird.
I had to turn everything off to get it to really work.
Well, it would be, well, maybe they do say it. We didn't.
I've read a lot of
When
that
I say
manual.
we, you. Did you read the manual?
I did read the manual. It's actually not that long. It's just in 48 languages.
Oh, right. Okay.
Okay. I left a lot of them in there, but I just like our chatter. We make us laugh. All right. I'm going to finish this up. Tons of cereal. Tons of tests. Oh, there's not a test after the episode. A test. These are tests of the microphone. That's what I didn't understand. Never mind. Okay. Here we go. Just in 48 languages.
Oh, right. Okay.
Well, the Zoom IQ7 is definitely better than the internal mic and far less echoey. It also has pretty good stereo separation. If you're listening to this in the podcast, however, you will not hear that stereo effect because I mixed my show down to mono, but I could hear it just now. While I said the Zoom IQ7 audio is better than the internal mic, I'm not sure it's blow your socks off better. As Marianne so adeptly points out, the advantage of the internal mic is that it's free. The Zoom IQ7 is $110 and does require some fiddling to get it just right. Remember, though, that some of that fiddling about is using the gain dial to make sure your recording is going to be good, not peaking and not so low that you have to increase the gain in post-processing and introduce more noise, or amplify the noise, I should say. You can also monitor real time using the headphone jack so you'll know if you're getting a good recording or not. So this is kind of value-added fiddling. Marianne and I figured out that you don't have to use the ugly and ancient-looking Zoom Handy Recorder app to do the recording. If you'd like a more modern interface for your recordings, you can use the app that comes with the more expensive Shure MV88. It's called Sure Plus Motive, and it has the same kinds of features that a visual meter to see if you're peaking. The Zoom software is so old, your options to move your recordings off device are limited to email and SoundCloud. With Motive, you can save to camera roll, messages, mail, Dropbox files, and all of the usual suspects. So that's probably a better choice. Even if you don't buy the Zoom IQ7 and use the internal mic, I highly recommend that you use one of these apps so you can see visually if you're getting enough gain on the recording or if your speakers are peaking out, both of which can render your once in a lifetime recording completely useless. This did not turn into the resounding endorsement of the Zoom IQ7 that had hoped it would be, but I've been encouraged by listeners to do reviews even if the product doesn't turn out quite as good as I'd hoped. I think the Zoom IQ7 is a bit complicated to set up, but if you don't want to hold a phone right up to someone's mouth to get a good recording, it's a better option than the internal microphone. But it's up to you whether it's $110 better. Okay.
Woo!
All right.
And you still got 2 blog posts left.
Yeah, and Terry Austin.
What is that black object? Is that a cat there?
I think that's
Kevin?
Dolly the cat.
Dolly the cat? Must be.
All right, and I just fixed that I instead of me in the show notes too.
Can you edit the recorded audio that you did there with Marianne?
Nope. Okay, preview. So what was that? Okay, so
you're being encouraged to save and put a chapter marker in there.
Yeah, but I don't know what the next chapter is going to be. Oh, well, it's not chapter mark time.
Smartphone.
It's support the show time. It's pledge break.
Well, you could put a chapter marker there. People would go right to your pledge break.
Yeah, I bet they would. Okay, quiet. Well, Frank in the chat room often calls this pledge break. When I post an article that includes hardware you can buy on Amazon, I always link to the Amazon page for the device. I do that for 2 reasons. One is so it's easy for you to click and buy, and 2, so that if you do click and buy, a small percentage of the purchase may go back to helping fund the production of the podcast. In this week's show, for example, you just heard me talk about the Zoom IQ7, which didn't turn out all that great, but there is an Amazon affiliate link to it in the article. Later in the show, I'll be talking about the Zoom H4n Pro, which is amazing, and there's an Amazon affiliate link to it as well. I'll be talking about some microphones too, and of course, their links will be to Amazon. Maybe you're not in the market for audio gear, but out of curiosity, you click on one of those links. While you're there, if you happen to buy some birdseed or toilet paper, those purchases could also go to help fund the show because you got there through that Amazon affiliate link. Every little bit helps, so click away. All right. We are going to do Terry Austin.
You're going to get a lot of action on that Zoom IQ7 with that kind of selling. Even though it didn't work, you might want to click the Amazon affiliate link.
Click the link anyway and go buy toilet paper. So has anybody here seen the article that said that people are growing horns on the back of their heads from using a smartphone?
I did.
Anybody else? You saw that? Okay. So you guys will really like Terry Austin. His recording here. Terry. No. What did he call it? He called it something else.
Oh, Frank saw
smartphone horns. What's that?
Frank saw it as well.
Okay, good. Let me just make sure to catch the beginning of that. Click away.
Hello, fellow castaways. Professor Terry Austin here. A few days ago,
I found out after he recorded this that, so he's a professor of anatomy, and he says that you totally could grow those horns. That is absolutely perfectly logical that would happen. He said that the study was correct, or the article was actually poorly done, but Frank.
Yeah, that is a good line. You got to give it to him.
Yeah, right. It did make me laugh.
Fake news. Here we go. Here, all the lines are flying in now.
Okay.
Kevin wants to know how he supports Steve's hard work.
Well, where do you think Steve got the money for his new Shure MVI? Did you show him that from last week?
No, I didn't. It's kind of hard.
He got a new USB interface. So, Steve, that's right. You can mute yourself with that.
Oh, I can, but And I have been, but the chat room, well, I could.
No, that's the surest way that I will never hear you is if you're
and
muting
that's
yourself.
what you really want, a very sure way that you cannot hear me.
Get it? Sure.
Hey, joined us. No, you're not too late. You got another 20 minutes, 15 minutes. Hey.
Oh yeah, and this show's going long. There's no doubt. Hey. So this is my latest toy that I will be showing off here. Did I already talk about? Did I show this at all?
I don't think you did.
So that's the Zoom H4n Pro. And oh, hey, you bought the iPad Pro 11. Congratulations. That's a sweet device. And then this is the Shure SM58. I'm doing a Shure ad and a Zoom ad and the back to Shure and back to Zoom. It's very exciting. All right, ventriloquism gone mad. Oh, somebody explain what's going on with the audio to
Yeah. Okay, I'll type it in for hey.
Okay. Mute yourself. Frost yourself. Okay. Oh, I got to do a chapter mark though. Jeez. Why are you texting with the family? I should be. Oh no. Pictures of Tesla. We had to give Tesla up for the weekend or for the month. All right. Let's see. I need to do the chapter mark there. I'm actually cooking along pretty good here, considering we're at 34 minutes. Let's see, Zoom and then that, and then I'm going to copy this. There's got to be a better way to do this, but okay. Put that out here, around here. Okay. There we go. Oh, it's going to be a lot of work to do this one. There's going to be a lot of stops and starts where I'm going to drop in audio. Here we go.
Stay subscribed.
Well, thank you so much for doing that, Terry. I really appreciate you always being there for my anatomy needs. I've been wanting a better way to make audio recordings on the road for a long time. When I've needed to record when away from home, I have been using an ATR 2100 USB and XLR microphone hooked up to my MacBook Pro, but that's not truly portable. As I mentioned in my review of the Zoom IQ7 for Marianne, I use the Zoom H2 as a portable recorder, but its time came to an end in usefulness and that whole battery corroding problem. I wanted to upgrade to a better recorder, so as I mentioned, for Mother's Day, Steve bought me the fancy pants Zoom H4n Pro. This device is not for those who want something simple, lightweight, elegant with a modern interface. The Zoom H4n Pro has the same ancient interface as my old Zoom H2, but it's bigger, heavier, and far more complicated. It is a very thick user manual, and I've actually read a very lot of it, but I suspect I will never fully understand all of the capabilities of the Zoom H4n Pro. Now that I've scared most of the people away, I'll tell the rest of you the good news. The Zoom H4n Pro is only $220, which is surprisingly inexpensive for this highly capable device. As I said, I'm not going to be using its full capabilities, such as studio recordings of live instruments, but let's take a look at what it can do for me and, in turn, the value it brings to you as a listener of my content. The Zoom H4n Pro has a pair of what they call XY stereo microphones built into the device. But more importantly, the device will also accept two XLR microphone inputs. As a consumer of my content,